Hello and welcome to the Sky Blue Times YouTube channel. This is our very first video, and this one's going to be looking at this man right here, Tijjani Reijnders, in more detail, who made his debut for Manchester City in the opening game of the Club World Cup against Wydad, and quite an impressive one, I would say, certainly from the online reaction that I've seen. The performance I watched, an unfamiliar position, coming into a new team, coming into a system quite different from what he's used to playing at AC Milan. And yeah, I think really interesting some of the stuff that we did see there. So if we go ahead and look at the starting lineup, I think a lot of people were concerned about him playing as the lone six, and actually when you look back at when he was playing in the Netherlands, he has a good amount of games playing as a number six, not the most ideal position for him, just the same as playing as a number 10 isn't the most ideal position for Tijjani Reijnders, but it is a role that he can serve within certain qualities, making sure that the role doesn't demand too much defensively and is more focused on what he can bring on the ball as a playmaker to progress it, whether it's carries, whether it's passes. And primarily what he's doing is not to break up play, but to try and get across and make recoveries off the ball when need be. This is the starting lineup that we saw. This is what I expected to see, with both fullbacks moving inside, O'Reilly and Rico Lewis next to Tijjani Reijnders, who were playing deeper. So that's your group of five, as you can see. This five outline here is a circle it with a cursor. So those two guys are going alongside Reijnders, and I think over the course of the first half we found them sort out their distances a little bit better. Sometimes they were kind of like too tight, sometimes they were just not really giving each other good passing angles, so that certainly progressed over that first half, and it's a role that Reijnders is definitely comfortable doing as long as he's there to be able to progress the play. And with the opposition they were playing, with the setup that they had, this was going to be about City breaking down a quite strong defence, sat more deeper in a low block and focused more on transitions, and that's what we saw over the course of the match. If you just look here, this is his heat map from when he was playing in the Netherlands, so a lot of his role is playing deeper. Even if he's playing as a number 8, he's involved in the build-up, he's involved defensively when they are defending deep, more in their shape. So that is to be expected. He has the experience there, and when you look at his time at AC Milan, this is a guy that in his first season had to play more of a deeper and might have more defensive responsibilities, and then when Fofana came in for the second season, you saw a lot more of Reijnders being able to progress the ball and dictate what's going on, and that was his role in this first half that we did see. So this right here is going to be all his recoveries, ball recoveries made. So you're looking here at somebody that is able to win the ball quite frequently and then also make the right save pass afterwards. Does take a lot of risk progressing it, and this was his last year in the Netherlands, although the team should be AZ rather than Feyenoord. That's just a mistake on the graphic. But a lot of his red unsuccessful passes are because he's trying to make these progressive passes forward. But a lot of the time, this is somebody that's very good recovering the ball and then making the right action afterwards. And another thing that really stood out is his progressive actions. As I mentioned, this is somebody that is incredible at moving the ball, whether it is a carry through the middle of the pitch, as you can see there, or it is especially about penetrating the box as he gets further up. And that will give us a bit more of a clue as to what we'll see from Reijnders moving forward into his Manchester City career. So dribbling as well, here's another one here, particularly through the middle of the pitch, and that's what we saw in this first half. When he was playing for Manchester City quite frequently, and we'll touch on that a bit later. But as you can see in this graphic, that's where he has success, these dribbles through the middle of the pitch. So then when he makes the move to AC Milan, you can see quite rightly here, he has no struggle bringing his carrying ability to that next level, playing in Serie A. It's an immense ability that he does have to progress the ball, and it is not just about these kind of like short bursts through pockets like you see from Mateo Kovacic, where you see him kind of all of a sudden go from standstill to moving really quickly with the ball, bust through a gap, and then he's looking to try and figure out what his next shot option is. For Tijjani Reijnders, similar to what we've seen from Nico O'Reilly earlier at the end of last season, he's somebody that with the ball of his feet can really stretch his legs and cover a lot of distance. And so that's what I expect we will see more from him over his City career. When you're looking at playing through the middle of the pitch, you're looking at somebody to really carry it, and then once he gets close to the box, you'll see more of his ability to play these passes into the wingers, whether it is picking out these underlapping runs, the overlapping runs, looking at what Jeremy Doku's doing when he's trying to make these runs into the box. All these sort of passes he's capable of, and really does have quite a range to him. So this is just a quick comparison to Mateo Kovacic, and like I said, everybody knows that Mateo Kovacic has a strength that he brings to the team in his carrying ability, but Tijjani Reijnders is completely another level when it comes to his carrying ability. So this is not just, as I mentioned, somebody that is able to bust through these tight gaps in the midfield in central areas, but it's somebody that's able to carry the ball over long distances. And when you're looking at a Manchester City side that has to play so many different types of opposition, that's going to play man-oriented presses, it's going to play games against the big six when you're talking about the matches against Liverpool and Arsenal, where the way they press is going to be wildly different to when City need to break down a low block that's going to sit off and not really apply any pressure to them. So you're going to need these qualities in all sorts of different games, and Reijnders has a big tool to the toolbox of the Manchester City midfield. So in the game, and this is a picture that I tweeted out actually, wondering whether we might see more of it moving forward. And you see Reijnders here positioned alongside Ederson. Both the centre-backs are split, so in Vitor Hayes and Ake are split either side. Both the full-backs are then moved inside, O'Reilly and Rico Lewis, acting as your kind of like double pivot you'd expect to see from last season when you're talking about Bernardo Silva, Kovacic. They'd be in the positions that O'Reilly and Lewis have been in, whereas here it's the full-backs tucking in. And then that means your likes of Phil Foden, Omar Marmoush, Ryan Chucky, they're all positions much higher up the pitch, so then they're able to then come in and drop to collect, pull a marker in and around, and exploit space. Your two wingers are then positioned right out wide, so Jeremy Doku and Savinho are not looking to support in this build-up. The guys that are supporting are Phil Foden, Ryan Chucky, Omar Marmoush. If they're dropping centrally, or they're dropping and pulling out wide. So that's what we saw on this one. So this is just one sequence that I highlighted here in this graphic. So Reijnders is alongside Ederson. He makes that safe pass out to Vitor Hayes. The first opposition marker then goes straight into Vitor Hayes. Rico Lewis follows the pressure, goes straight to it, brings the marker with him, and then that means you have all this space that opens up for Tijjani Reijnders in the middle of the pitch, as I'm circling here. So he gets himself into that position. Phil Foden is now dropped from the back line, pulled a defender with him, and has made that quick pass straight into Tijjani Reijnders in that space. And then this is the time that I mentioned Tijjani has that skill set to carry the ball over long distances, open his legs up and drive into that space. And that's exactly what he does here. With Foden dropping, you've seen that now Wydad has a back four. So because Reijnders has the pace and capability on the ball to carry it, you quickly find yourself in a 5v4 situation if you could play the pass quickly and correctly. You've got Marmoush over on the other side here looking to make this run. Doku out wide over here. Savinho coming inside and curling to make that run, and Reijnders makes that pass, and it's just a bit of a poor touch from Savinho that means that attack doesn't play out. But you can see in there a bit of a blueprint of how they're using Tijjani Reijnders, and how you're using his skill set, how that kind of functions. But it's also important to bear in mind that this is not necessarily going to be the very best 11. This is not a team that has spent all season working on this situation. This has taken some time, but they're going to spend a lot more time on it. You think the likes of Rodri, Haaland, and other players are probably going to be main starters for this season. So this is not necessarily the starting 11 you're going to see. So I'd be very careful about how much you kind of criticise. It's more about seeing these ideas tried out that Guardiola can see along with the coaching staff. Okay, this works, this doesn't work, maybe we use this in this game. And as I mentioned with man-oriented press, that's a situation where you'd see City use something like this. But they're not going to use that in every game. Not every single team is going to be man-oriented in their press. So really you're looking for different ideas you can try out against different teams. But I wouldn't look at this and go, right, if this doesn't work for City in this pre-season game, it's never going to work for them across an entire season. They're going to struggle. So this is just here, defensive line breaking passes from Tijjani Reijnders. And this is the area of his game that I think we'll see a lot more of as we move into him playing alongside Rodri, him playing alongside Nico Gonzalez. This is where I think you'll see a lot of his strength. And this cluster in particular here, this is what I'm looking at when it comes to the likes of Jeremy Doku, Ryan Aït-Nouri, Omar Marmoush if he's playing on the left side and then he's coming inside. His ability to pick passes out from this left half space is a real strength of his. Obviously, there's a lot all the way across the pitch there. But that cluster in particular, I think is going to be very, very useful for City this season coming. And when you're talking about moving in somebody like Rodri to play as a 6, Reijnders is then able to move up into that left half space more predominantly, and uses a passing ability in and around the box, and not have that kind of constant concern on his head of, I need to smell danger, I need to know where I need to be to recover. And we've seen that kind of in Mateo Kovacic really struggle with that aspect. You can't really focus on your game when you've got that to do, and Rodri is capable of doing that and handling that load. So I think with somebody more positional as a 6 like Rodri, like Nico Gonzalez, you're going to see Reijnders in that role and see a lot more from him. And it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. And that'll be something to watch, especially the next game coming up. We may see that. But as I mentioned, the team is not a kind of fully developed stage. You think Rodri's not back to full fitness, so you're not going to see that. Nico Gonzalez is still learning his position, his role, playing as a 6, what that's going to involve. So there's a lot to come. And there was one thing I would mention on top of that is when you're looking at Reijnders, particularly in that last game, you can see already he's a guy with a lot of energy that likes to move around the pitch and roam around, and he's particularly good when he is free to roam, to then make these little nicks, anticipate where the ball's going to land and make ball recoveries, know where the space is that he can kind of roam into and support his teammates. So if you're playing him as a 6, you're kind of missing that ability to roam. And so again, playing with somebody more positional like Rodri, I think that's another reason why you'll see more from Tijjani Reijnders as we go through this season. So yeah, as we look at here, this is some of his stats from the game against Wydad, and you can see this is very much the type of passes through the middle that we'd expect from Rodri. Nico Gonzalez, somebody playing more positional there, playing as a number 6, and you're not able to get more of him out in this left half space, which is where I think you'll see more of Reijnders as we move into this season. But yeah, that has been this video. Just a quick look at what we saw from Tijjani Reijnders in that first game. Talk through some of the things that I think stood out as strengths of his, things that I think we'll see more of moving into next season. And yeah, let me know what you think. This is the very first video of the Sky Blue Times YouTube channel. This is the kind of format I was thinking of doing to kind of dig into different players, things I noticed from games, whether it's tactics, whether it's team related stuff, little details, anything like that. I'll dive into with a video in this kind of way, going through different stats, pictures, videos, etc. To give you a bit more. And then obviously we have the newsletter on the side that we do full reviews of the matches that will go alongside this. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below, and we'll be back with another video very soon.